I think it's time to unbox the MCU version of the Kingpin from the MCU TV show on Disney Plus, Hawkeye. Whew. Or as I like to call him, the Vincent D'onofrio action figure. So as you see, he is one of the figures that I still have in box from the whole plastic-free packaging era. There's a lot of crinkly tissue paper that goes along with this stuff. Now, unfortunately, the MCU stuff didn't get as fun of tissue paper as stuff like G.I. Joe, which had the logos on it, which I thought was rather nice. So we have our figure, Kingpin, right here, and then we have the accessories pouch, our little tissue paper pouch that I'll open up. Should include his cane as well as alternate hands. Let's see what those look like here. There we go. They are just some punching fists, but I'll show you the cane first. Ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to focus that. There we go. Hang on, let's get the Kingpin in there. There we go. It's a very nice looking cane. This is a good accessory. I can already tell that I like this one quite a bit. And then these hands, like these are just nice to have in the accessory bin because I feel like these are just going to be good extra fists for other characters. Put these hands and accessories aside for a second. We will take a look at our Kingpin. First impressions of him, you know, it looks rather like the actor from the MCU movies portraying Kingpin. And because he is a Kingpin, look, he has pins on his elbows. How about that? They are double jointed. So that's kind of nice to see. They don't come up too far, which is interesting because I wouldn't think that his suit coat would obstruct it all that much. I mean, I think that's rather good. Now the coat itself, it doesn't unbutton at all. It is closed shut. And if you wanted to, I'm sure you could remove it. You have to take the arms out, but you would have white sleeves and then it looks like a black undershirt. So well, that probably is not an option. Would have been nice to have one of those clasps like the G.I. Joe figures have for some of their webbing and their gear that would allow you to button it. Alas, we don't get that here. So now let's take a look at the legs. They are not pinned, so he's not quite all of the Kingpin. Kind of curious just to see how much range we have, and we have a lot of range in this guy right here. So much more than the elbows, which is remarkable. Now, of course, you see the issue. It makes it look a little unnatural. I mean, this is a toy after all, so again, I'm not going too hard on it, but it does break the illusion more than other joints just due to the business attire that Kingpin wears. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing too is that his head feels a little like off-center, and I'm not quite sure how to make that better. It just seems like a defect of the actual character. So I'm gonna take his head off. I'm gonna pop it off to see what's going on here. And it's all molded. So this piece is all molded. There's not a whole lot of movement there. And I'm wondering if there's something to do with the dumbbell joint in here. It just feels a little stiff and stuck. Maybe if I just kind of move it around. Let's see if that has helped it out. Yeah, quite a bit. So there was some issues, I feel like, with the dumbbell joint on the neck, which we solved right here on camera, which is always a great thing to have. There's not a whole lot to this guy. So let me get his cane and we will see how that looks. All right, there we go. Again, very simplistic character. There's not a whole lot going on. It is a guy in a suit. And like the thing that gets me about it is like there's not a whole lot of features that go along with him. I mean, just the cane, we have some extra hands. That's kind of it. Do you have any butterfly joints? There are no butterfly joints from what I can tell. So the other thing about the movement here with Kingpin is you're not going to be getting anything in the torso. The jacket is so stiff, and I don't even feel like there is any sort of flex or ability to move. So while you do get great movement and range in the legs and the arms, even the shoulders kick out quite a bit, you're not gonna get anything in here, so he's going to feel very wooden, he's going to feel very stiff. There's not a whole lot of range here with Kingpin. If you're looking for an accurate representation of the actor, I mean, I think this is the definitive version of it. I think it's probably the only version of it. And the pants are a very deep purple. That is an homage to some of the comic book versions of Kingpin. Ultimately, I'm glad I found this guy on sale at Target for like $5 because I honestly couldn't imagine paying around 20 for him. Especially, he just feels limited. He's a very limited figure, but to give him his due, let's put him in some poses and I'll talk about some of the things I like, don't like, and would have changed about Kingpin. One of the things that I like about this Kingpin action figure is the fact that it is very accurate to the MCU version of Kingpin. Now this one in particular comes from the Hawkeye series, but the lineage goes a little further back than that if you remember some of the Netflix Defenders TV shows with the Daredevil. And I think one of the things that people still agree about in the MCU is that Vincent D'onofrio gives an amazing performance as the Kingpin. Now the other thing that I like about it is his cane accessory. It is a fun little detail. It's probably something that I'm going to be repurposing for action figures from other lines, but it is a nice inclusion, which is good because it's one of the only inclusions. That's one of the things that I would like to see changed about Kingpin here, is that he comes very lacking with accessories. For somebody who is a criminal mastermind, I get the fact that he's not going to have a whole lot of weapons or things like that to pull from, but it's a huge bummer because he came from a Build-A-Figure wave from one of the What If Hydra Stompers, and he didn't even come with one of the Build-A-Figure pieces. An inclusion like that would have gone a long way to increasing the value of this figure if you were paying retail price for it. And that's one of the things that I ultimately don't like about this figure, is that while there are touches of really cool moments within the action figure, overall, the entire package is just small and limited. I got him on deep clearance at about $5, and he feels like a $5 action figure. This isn't something that I felt like I got an extremely good bargain for. This is something that I felt like I paid a fair price for, which, as action figure prices keep increasing and some of the accessories get rolled back, it honestly makes me wonder if this is a peek into the future of what action figures and collectibles will be like in the future. So is this one that I'm going to be displaying on my shelves? No, he's going to get cataloged and his accessories will be put away. But it is an interesting look into some of the MCU versions of Marvel Legends characters. And I think to sum up this action figure of Kingpin, I mentioned this a little bit earlier in terms of his upper torso. He doesn't have a lot of range. This is the figure that you're getting, and if you're looking for a fairly accurate representation of the actor, by all means, but ultimately, there's just not a lot you can do with this version of Kingpin. Well, if you just liked our discussion on the Kingpin action figure, I've got a lot of other action figures that I talk about too. Collectibles, pop culture, as well as blasters. Just action things in general, I think, are pretty awesome. If you think they're awesome too, definitely hit that follow, like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever it takes to get more videos, because I'd love to have you on this journey of exploring action toys together. So that's all I know about the Kingpin MCU version from the Disney Plus TV series Hawkeye. That is still a huge mouthful to say. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.